That bomb threat investigation on Capitol Hill, authorities say a suspect has surrendered without incident and is now in police custody. The Supreme Court, the Library of Congress, and the Cannon House office building were all evacuated while police investigated and negotiated with that suspect. Our Kenneth Moten is there on the scene with more. Kenneth, what can you tell us about the suspect and what was in that truck?
Diane, just an incredible scene here on Capitol Hill. A 5-hour standoff has ended with a suspect identified as Roseberry in custody. The Capitol Police Chief just gave us that update moments ago, but you see here at the Capitol, things are starting to calm down a little bit. We still have a lot of police on this scene, but they're starting to open up the roadways here around the Capitol after that large perimeter was set up during this 5-hour standoff. Again, let me give you the rundown. This suspect, again, by the last name of Roseberry from North Carolina, apparently, according to investigators, he popped the curve. He was on the sidewalk near the Library of Congress, near the Supreme Court. Apparently, a 911 call was made, and investigators got some information that this suspect potentially had a bomb, that he possibly had a detonator in his hand. He was in a very large pickup truck, apparently with tinted windows. They couldn't see inside the vehicle. So for the past 5 hours or so, they tried to make contact. And once they got a cell phone to him, they were able to communicate with him. And you went through hours of negotiations here on Capitol Hill as this scene, this perimeter that was so large around the area really brought some fear into the people who saw it. And as we saw it here, we know that when it comes to the Capitol, any potential threat is a big one, and it's taken seriously. And so even though investigators didn't know exactly what they had here, they worked through it and they tried to find out as much information about the suspect, especially when they learned of a live stream, apparently, by the suspect while he was in the vehicle. We were able to monitor some of that live stream and see some of the ramblings that he was saying throughout his time inside that vehicle on Capitol Hill. And what we know is that investigators use that information from that live stream to try to gain as much information as possible about any potential threat, to see if he actually had any active explosives, any bombs inside that vehicle. Did he? At this point, what we understand from the police chief is that after he surrendered, he got out of the vehicle, he surrendered. They are still checking that vehicle as we speak, but at this point, they've started to open up roads around the Capitol Hill complex, but that area where the car is, right there in front of the Library of Congress and the Supreme Court, is still blocked off at this point.
All right, thanks, Kenneth. Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas is here in Washington. Pierre, a tense few hours, as Kenneth was just describing for us. How did this investigation unfold?
Well, Terry, today was a case study in the world in which we live. You have a situation where a man shows up unannounced, in a black large truck claiming that he has a bomb. The key moment, according to my sources, was they were able to look at this feed that he had put forth in which he talked about having an issue potentially with the president. He rambled. They were able to get a look at what appeared to be a canister. He talked about what was in the canister. And at that point, they simply didn't know what they had. Now, the interesting thing is that he kept saying, apparently, according to my sources and the video that the source confirmed to me, that he didn't want to hurt anybody. But at the same time, it was a situation where he had all these materials. So it was a situation where, classic Washington style, they cannot afford to take anything not seriously. So because of that, they went through this process. They exercised a lot of patience. As one source said, that, look, we don't know if it's a person simply trying to get attention. The police chief said during the press conference that he was a person that had some kind of personal issues going on in his life, that there were issues that he was confronting. But clearly everyone is breathing a sigh of relief that he crawled out of the vehicle, turned himself in. Now they have the difficult task of simply going through the vehicle and making sure that there's nothing dangerous in the vehicle. But that process, I'm told, could take several hours.
And I want to bring in former FBI agent and ABC News contributor Brad Garrett on that point. Brad, as Pierre mentioned, the police insinuated that the suspect is going through some kind of a personal or family issue. They wouldn't expand on that any more than that. They also talked about finding some concerning things in the truck, including a propane tank, but again, didn't go into further details. So where do you think this investigation goes from here?
So the real key here, obviously, is what was his real intention. I mean, if you look where he parked this pickup truck, it's an odd place. Even though it's near the Capitol, He picks a day that Congress is not even in session, and he's willing to stay there several hours, live stream. This strikes me as a guy that's angry, has some revenge issues, maybe has some delusion, it sounds like, in reference to the president or the current government. And he feels powerless. People do these things that end up not hurting anyone because they want attention. I mean, why in the world would you live stream this unless you wanted attention? So once he got that, and in addition, you've got hostage negotiators that eventually got a cell phone to him, and with this live stream information, had a conversation and probably lowered the temperature inside that truck as far as his anger and rage, and eventually talked him out of it. So it's a fairly predictable, I guess, situation, the way it ended, if in fact his goal was ultimately not to hurt anybody.
Absolutely. And let's go down Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House now. Karen Travers covers the White House for us, a couple of miles away from this scene that, as I said, was tense for several hours. We've heard Kenneth and Pierre describe. So what was happening at the White House while all this was going down, Karen?
Terry, the White House said that they were monitoring the situation up on Capitol Hill, but since it has been resolved, they have not given a statement or weighed in. It's a pretty quiet day here at the White House. The president spending his day behind closed doors, no public events. There's no briefing with the White House press secretary, Jen Psaki. Terry, though, the security situation outside of the White House did seem to step up a little bit. The park that's just north of the White House, Lafayette Park, that's been open to tourists now for several weeks. Right now, it is closed. Secret Service had blocked off the entrances to the west, east, and north of that park. And for now, only people with passes were able to get in. So certainly they were keeping an eye on what was going on up there out of an abundance of caution, concerns that there would be something else happening down here on this end of Pennsylvania Avenue.
All right, Karen Travers, Kenneth Moten, and Pierre Thomas, Brad Garrett, thanks very much on this busy and tense day that came to a good conclusion. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.